Fernando Alonso this week mentioned that at Spa, the Formula One cars will have less power than Formula 2 cars because of how the deployment works in the current 50-50 split regulations. Is it going to be that bad? We expected something similar to happen in Silverstone, but how come Silverstone was much different? We didn't hear a lot of complaints about deployment. Or was there something deeper hidden in Silverstone? How is Spa different and what makes it so special? Let's talk all about this in this video. Hello everyone, Anderson here. Welcome back to the channel. It's race week again, and this time we are at Spa, the Belgian GP. This is also one of the most iconic tracks in Formula One, almost as iconic as Silverstone or Monza, one could even argue. The track used to be 15 kilometers long in the early World War I days, and it had a mix of a track layout and a street circuit kind of layout. At one point, the Belgians were so obsessed with making Spa the fastest circuit in the world, and to their credit, Spa did eventually become the fastest circuit in Europe and the most dangerous. Drivers actually feared for their life on this track, so much so that deaths on this circuit was a very casual appearance. In 1960 Belgian GP, two drivers, Chris Bristow and Alan Stacey, both of them were killed within 15 minutes of each other. By 1969, officially there were 10 racing fatalities, and out of them 5 of them happened in 1967 and 68. So F1 drivers boycotted the 1969 Belgian GP. They boycotted and informed the track officials and the management that if the track layout is not changed to make it more safer, they are never going to race. And by 1969, it was too late for the organizers to do anything to the track, so eventually that race was cancelled, and the track was out of Formula One for more than 10 years because of the safety concerns and layout issues, and it was finally brought back in 1983. The new layout that was proposed was much shorter, obviously, and closer to the current track that we are racing in 2026. Even after shortening the track is 7 kilometers long, making it one of the longest tracks in the current Formula One calendar. The track features some of the more iconic corners of all of Formula One. For most people, Spa is synonymous to the Eau Rouge and Raidillon corners. That's the picture that comes to their mind when they think of Spa. But before we talk about these corners in detail, I do want to mention the changes to the track. Earlier till 2025, the track had two DRS zones, one from turn 4 to turn 5 called the Camel Straight, and one more towards the start-finish straight. This year, we have not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 straight mode zones. So the first zone is at the start-finish straight, the second one is between turns 1 and 2, the third one between turns 4 and 5, the Camel Straight, and then one between turns 15 and 16, and the last one between turns 17 and 18. With the rear and front wing opening and closing so many times, it is really important that the downforce required to stay on the track returns after each zone, right after the wings close. We have seen 2 crashes from Max Verstappen in the last 2 weekends where the rear wing was responsible for the crash. So this track is already dangerous, and with rear wings causing a lot of downforce issues, at least for one driver, why is it necessary to have all 5 straight mode zones in the first place? Here is my theory, right? I think this track has 5 straight mode zones because it absolutely needs it. This circuit is going to be battery starved, which means in half the places the cars will not have enough power, just like Fernando Alonso said. So you need the flaps to be open so that the drags reduce and a little more speed is squeezed out of the car so that it doesn't look really bad. So yeah, Fernando Alonso's concerns about deployment seem to be very valid. So now let's go through the corners one by one. The start finish straight is pretty short and it leads to turn 1, which is called La Source. This turn is pretty much a hairpin, and turn 1 incidents are prone to happen here. Someone is always going to hit somebody else while braking. They might even touch the back of the wing or the tire. There might be some punctures, and we might end up seeing a safety car or a VSC in lap 2. This is prone to happen in this part of the track because the starts in Belgium are usually very chaotic. The name of the corner and also the reason why this place is called Spa is because this entire area has a lot of sources of fresh water, right? There is a lot of fountains and natural streams happening. That's why this area is called the Spa. And La Source is a name that implies that this place has a lot of water or source of water. Now turns 2, 3 and 4 form the iconic Belgian GP wallpaper, Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Not a lot of people notice it in the first attempt, but there is a small water bridge right before the start of turn 2. It's because of the iron oxide layer that is on the rocks of this river or the stream. The water looks red in color, and that's why Red River or Red Water is the name of the corner, Eau Rouge. Raidillon basically is also French for a steep road or a steep uphill climb. Fernando Alonso famously had this to say about these two corners. Firstly, it's a massive downhill from turn 1 and then suddenly it's an uphill, and from the cockpit you cannot see the exit because it flattens very drastically. It's almost like a roller coaster ride, and pretty much all drivers take this corner flat out. It's extremely dangerous in wet conditions too. We cannot talk about these turns without actually bringing up what happened in 2019. Antoine Hubert, who is a Formula 2 driver, very good friends of Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly and all, he met with a tragic accident in the Formula 2 feature race and unfortunately lost his life. Even with all of the safety improvements to both the cars and the track, fatal accidents do happen. In 2021, we had a wet qualifying session in Spa, and the session should have been red flagged, but it wasn't. Lando Norris went for a Q3 lap and crashed massively in the same corner. Lando escaped without any injury, and the next day the race never happened due to the heavy rains. While the corner is so exciting to drive through, every year there is some recorded incident, and the latest fatal accident happened in 2023 when a Formula Regional European Championship race had a fatal accident. So this dangerous part of the track leads us into the Kemmel Straight. Now this is where the iconic Sebastian Vettel overtake on Lewis Hamilton happened in 2018. Now turns 5 and 6 is a chicane. Chicane is basically a quick change of directions, two corners together. Now this forms the highest point of the track. The rest of the track is downhill from here. This corner is called Lacombe, which is named after a village nearby. Turn 7 is called Malmedy. This is also a right hand turn which also takes its name from a nearby village. Turn 8 is called Rivage, which is a long corner. In the map it looks like a hairpin or a U-turn, but it is basically a really long turn. Turn 9 is called Speaker's Corner, and it is named after the tower through which the broadcast of Formula 1 used to happen in the olden days. Turn 10 and 11 are called Puhon, which means a place to draw water from. Again, keeping up with the theme of water and spa. Turns 12 and 13 are called Fagnes or Piff Paff in the local slang because it is a quick change of direction. Turns 14 and 15 are called Campus because of a university campus that is located really close by. Now turn 16 and 17 are the iconic Blanchimont, which takes its name from a farm adjacent to the track. And finally turn 18 and 19 are called Bus Stop. I know you must have heard this word bus stop so often by the commentators. In the previous layer of the track, this place used to have access to the public, and there was a bus stop here until 2007. The last section of the track used to be open for public except for race weekends. Now that we have the history lesson out of the way, let's discuss the speeds of these corners and how deployments will be in Spa. So like usual, I have tabulated the corners and I have mentioned which one is a high speed corner, which one is a low speed corner or a slow corner and a medium speed corner. If we purely look at the corner speeds, we can see that there is a good mix of high, medium and low speed corners. But just like Silverstone, the number of spots in which a driver effectively brakes is basically 7 out of the 19 corners. The rest of the corners are either taken flat out or there is partial throttle. In 2026, braking and lift and coast, right, LICO, are the two ways in which the current regulations allow the battery to recharge without drastically losing speed, without super clipping. Yes, these are the two methods which are preferred to recharge batteries. And if you see last year's lap of Norris, Piastri and Max Verstappen, we can see that there is no zone where they are lifting and coasting. And even with 15 to 18% of battery in the turbo hybrid era, the cars had to clip to recharge the battery. So we have to wait and see how the current generation cars are going to work on this track. But a couple of measures FIA can do to reduce this energy starvation is to reduce the overall recharge per lap during qualifying, and that will definitely make the session a lot more about driving and precision than being focused on deployment. But the question still remains, will they run out of battery by turn 5? They probably will. We have a few braking zones till sector 2, and then sector 3 has 2 straight mode zones and a long straight from 14 to 18, which is pretty much full throttle. So from here to the end of sector 3 and to the start of sector 1 towards the straight mode zone, we have only 2 braking zones to recharge. Will these be enough to recharge the batteries to some level by the end of sector 3? I don't think so. So the teams have to come up with a proper engine mapping to efficiently deploy and harvest during the lap, right? Not every deployment zone needs deployment, I guess, just to conserve battery and to use it more effectively, especially when you're planning an overtake or when you're planning a defensive drive. I'm sure just like Silverstone, we will see a lot of yo-yo racing racing on Sunday. As it looks and as it stands, this track definitely is going to be a nightmare for battery deployment. I'm sure not a lot of these traditional drivers are looking forward to it. Barcelona and Silverstone did seem to be Ferrari's tracks, but also Mercedes did have unfortunate incidents where they could not give their 100%. So I think this Spa circuit, this Spa weekend will also continue to be Ferrari or Mercedes weekend. I don't see McLaren or Red Bull doing anything remotely close to challenging these two teams for pole position or for race wins. As we get into the weekend, I do want to share a couple more news updates that are relevant, I feel. You may remember that after Barcelona's unfortunate Kimi DNF, Mercedes brought a new engine to fix their reliability issues. Finally, that engine is now being given to McLaren as well. Alpine and Williams ran the engine in Silverstone itself. McLaren decided to swap to the new engines only this race, so they also have a brand new rear wing which they'll be testing in the free practices. So yeah, while McLaren might not be challenging for the top spot, I do feel like there is some hope and some improvement that we can expect from McLaren side of the garage. Another big update is a couple of videos ago I did mention the buzz about bringing back Bahrain GP, but suddenly the buzz is gone again. Why? Because sources say the Bahrain GP's return was supposed to be announced this week, but with more complications in the Middle East, it means it won't happen. This has also raised the question of whether the finale of the season, Qatar and Abu Dhabi, will happen at all. We have a summer break coming up, and I think this is probably going to be the biggest news we can expect from the summer break. Yeah, to be honest, it has been a while since we got the breaking announcement from the official Formula 1 handles. And before we end, there is a quick reminder, if you are based out of Hyderabad, we are watching the race together in the Rumour Lounge in High Tech City, Sunday 5:30 p.m. So hoping to see some of you there in person. And that's it for today's quick video. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos. Share it with your friends. We are growing really fast. 10K before the September ends. Yeah, seems like a reasonable goal to have. Have a great weekend, everyone. Have a great Spa weekend. And I will be back on Friday with the weekend preview video and on Monday with the weekend review video. Okay. Lots of work to do. See you all very soon. Okay. Peace.